Last time on CARM Harm 3.
Still talking. Why are you still talking? You made your point. It's like, how long is this video? It's only 5 minutes. And some odd seconds feels longer. Yeah, those are good points, me. But the other thing you said screwed it all up. No. Why are you recording me? Hey guys. Nothing's gonna happen in a week from now. I love you all. In a week. 1 week. It's been 1 week since you laughed at me, sighed and said you're crazy.
Number 6. The laws of logic are conceptual by nature. Number 6.1. Logic is a process of the mind. The laws of logic provide the framework for logical thought processes. Therefore, it seems proper to say that the laws of logic are conceptual by nature, since the laws of logic are truth statements about logical things. The word concept has a lot of different meanings. On Wikipedia, it is defined formally and informally. The informal definition is called a disambiguation, which says, as a matter of the derivation of the word disambiguation, that the word concept can be ambiguous, which would be a perfect fit for Slick's penchant for equivocation, as I've shown he does with the word faith. It would appear that Slick is going with the formal Platonic definition, which reifies the laws of logic into a realm of transcendent forms, only he takes it a step further as a reflection of the mind of his God. He may also be using the word concept since, as it is derived from the word conceive, it would imply there must be a starting point, which, of course, is the mind of his God. However, if a concept is a mental construct, a process of the mind, then it cannot be absolute, because it is subject to or contingent on that mind. To exempt it as God's mind would be a special pleading. Number 6.1.1. If you disagree that the laws of logic are conceptual by nature, then please explain what they are, if not conceptual realities.
Good old Slick, shift that burden of proof onto us, because he can't shoulder it. So why don't we just go ahead and prove that the ideas, the laws of logic are just in our brains and nowhere else? Okay, how would we prove that? Well, can we perform any repeatable tests on them? Kind of, in a sense that we can write down the formulas, and if the formulas always work out, then that is a proof that they work. But it's the same sort of proof that you would have in mathematics. The system itself has to be one that you are assuming works to get the result. So the plus sign, for example, what does that mean in and of itself, the plus sign? Well, it doesn't really have a meaning until we imbue it with meaning. Try to describe what the plus sign is. Well, 1 plus 1 is 2. Yes. But what is plus? What is it? Does it exist in reality? Or is it just in our mind? How would we go about showing that it existed in reality? There's no empirical evidence of it. Is there a test? Well, not really, kind of, because, well, if we take two numbers and we put that plus sign there, then we always get this answer, but that's assuming that the plus sign is doing that thing that we told it that it was going to do. The definition of what it does doesn't make it real, so there's kind of a test that's repeatable, but not really. We don't really even have a logically coherent argument. All we have is essentially a tautology for it. That this thing does this thing because we said it does. And that's it. Either we accept that it does what we're saying that it does, or that there is no further conversation to be had. If you don't want to agree on what the plus sign is meant to do, then we can't go forward in learning mathematics. And similarly, if we don't want to agree that the rules of logic are functional in and of themselves, then we can't go forward. So what Slick wants to do is make this, well, you can't prove that they're just in your head, so obviously I've won, even though I haven't proved that they're not outside of our head or whatever. And as Karen mentioned, even if God does exist, then these rules of logic are in its mind as well, and that still has the problem of them being just as arbitrary or conceptual as they would be in our brains. How is God's mind supposedly above and beyond us so much that these things become concrete? Well, that's just asserted, never demonstrated. Not by the argument, not by any scripture that I'm aware of, not by theology, not by logic. So what have you got? You've got the ramblings of an incoherent website called CARM. I guess that's really all you have. Anyways, back to Karen.
Number 6.1.2. If you cannot determine what they are, then how can you logically assert that they are not conceptual realities, since logic is a process of the mind and the laws of logic are truth statements which are also products of the mind? Expanded. The laws of logic are either conceptual by nature or they are not.
Apologists aren't the ones who have their favorite things like to say in response to things. And in this case, it was, if you need my input to make your argument, you do not have an argument.
This is a shifting of the burden to the reader, and I'm assuming Slick believes his outline will only be read by atheists, and it also has something to do with his debate with Matt Dillahunty, who Slick asked for alternatives and received the same response.
Well, it's an argument of provision. If I have options to work from and you don't, and you can't provide anything, if I have an argument to work from and I have two options that I provided and you don't like either one and you just don't want to admit or say that, yes, there is a third option and here's what it is so that we can at least tackle it, then you're arguing out of agnosticism. You're saying, here, look, I don't know what the third option would be. I'm not sure what it would be. But it's got to be out there because your options can't work. Your options aren't logically required as being the only two possible options. Okay, fine. Then what is the third option? And that was my whole question. What is the third option? And you didn't provide it.
You're right back to engaging in a shifting of the burden of proof and an argument from ignorance. You're saying that this has to be physical or conceptual, and you're not demonstrating why or the fact that it does have to be one of those two. And in fact, you don't even believe that those are the only two options. And then you're saying that you have met this burden of proof, or implying that you've met the burden of proof, until somebody proves you wrong. And then now it's up to everybody else to come up with whatever the category is or the label is to demonstrate that you're wrong. That's not the way this works. If you're the one making the claim, you have the burden of proof.
It is unacceptable if Slick is trying to make this part of a formal explanation of tag. For Slick to even arrive at the conclusion that the laws of logic are conceptual, he must have considered other alternatives to conceptual. He needs to provide the non-conceptual alternatives and then explain why or how they should be eliminated. In fact, that is the point of one of his favorite terms, the disjunctive syllogism, because it is an analogy of troubleshooting, that is, eliminating other possibilities to pinpoint a problem. An analogy would be if you took your vehicle to Matt Slick's garage because it was stalling, and Slick said you need a new engine, and if it's not that, you need to tell him what the problem is. Asking the reader to provide alternatives shirks this responsibility and makes Slick's argument less than complete, and adds one more fallacy to the growing list of Slick tag fallacies.
Welcome to Slick's dealership. Would you like to buy a car? Of course you did. Why would you come here if you didn't want to buy a car? Obviously, you want to buy a car. Actually, I just want to use the restroom. Okay, so either you want to buy a car or you want to buy a car. Which is it? I just needed to go to the bathroom. You want this car. I'll tell you why. This car is amazing. It can fly. It can do your dishes. It does your homework. It pats you on the back, and it loves you and fulfills you in every way, shape, and form. And it's your favorite color. And it can be yours today for the low, low price of absolutely nothing. It's free. That's 100% free. And if you don't get it, if you don't get this car, then 1,000,000 cars are going to run over you the second that you step off my dealership. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking that's a horrible fate, but that's okay. If you get my free car, then that won't happen. And instead, the minute that you step off my dealership, you will be whisked away to car paradise to enjoy your stay with the wonderful car that I'm talking about. I just needed to go to the bathroom. Yes. So, either you accept my car or you're going to get run over by a car. Which is, can I go to the bathroom? That's not an option. Either there's a car or there's not a car. Can I go? The third option was I needed to go to the bathroom. All right, look. There's no bathroom unless you accept my car. Do you accept my car? Can I'll just go on the floor. How about that? I'll just go right here. How's that? Oh, that doesn't even make sense. What you're saying makes no sense unless you accept the idea of my car. Fine, where's this car? Oh, you can't see it yet. What? You have to accept that it exists first. Then you'll see it. Actually, you already know it exists. What? Look, I just came to use the bathroom. Oh, you can't prove that you need to go to the bathroom. I just did go to the bathroom all over your floor. Now what? Well, you can't prove that you just did that. I just did it. I know that it just came out of my body. So you say. But your body, who made that? What? I'm leaving now. You're going to get run over by the cars.
I will make a legitimate appeal to authority here to provide other explanations from experts in logic, scholars on logic who have written books on logic, and someone with a philosophical background who has written a book on counter-apologetics to theistic arguments, including the tag. According to Michael Schenefeld and Heidi White in their recent book, If A, Then B, How the World Discovered Logic, logic is, quote, about how the truth or falsity of some propositions would connect with the truth or falsity of others, unquote. The laws of logic are fundamental rules for establishing the validity of argumentation. Schenefeld and White also state, quote, we might mockingly refer to the notion that logical relations are somehow transcendent as positing a sort of never-never land where the patterns of logic reside. Mockery aside, however, this way of talking is only a metaphor for expressing an altogether different idea. The patterns of logic aren't in a land of any sort. They don't have a place or a time, unquote. So let's replace Never Never Land with Slick's God. We might mockingly refer to the notion that logical relations are somehow transcendent as positing a God with whom the patterns of logic reside. Mockery aside, however, this way of talking is only a metaphor for expressing an altogether different idea. The patterns of logic don't reside with a God of any sort. They don't have a place or time. Now let's also contrast that with a claim by some of Slick's critics, such as Matt Dillahunty, when he says that Slick only shows how logic is transcendent and that God is a metaphor for reality. So Schenefeld and White would seem to not agree with the conclusion of Tagg, and nowhere in their book do they call logic a concept. Michael Schenefeld has a doctorate in philosophy from Columbia University, and I think Heidi White was just his writer. I'm not sure, because I can't seem to find anything on her. Howard Bloom, in his book The God Problem, How a Godless Cosmos Creates, states that the laws of logic are a symbolic system of useful generalizations and are, quote, very simplified representations of reality, unquote. Because according to Bloom, A equals A, that is the law of identity, is a half-truth because it distorts reality in ways Deconverted Man and I have explained earlier because of location and time. He does not call the laws of logic concepts either. Howard Bloom is a visiting scholar at New York University and has been called the next Stephen Hawking. According to Fergus Donahoe of the website For the Love of Wisdom, the laws of logic are abstractions by nature and not dependent on minds, and act as restraints on reality. And as already noted, they cannot be concepts because that would make them contingent or dependent on a mind. That would by definition make them logical contingencies. And Slick may have admitted this was true when he replaced logical absolutes with the laws of logic at his CARM website tag outline.
So this is very fascinating to me. Are the laws of logic concepts in our brain or not? And the answer is yes, kind of. It's a convenience. It's a way to describe reality. It's a way to describe what we observe in reality. So although they might not be perfect, because of our understanding of reality isn't perfect, if there is even such a thing as perfect, they're conveniences. They don't really exist out there, but we find it convenient to think of them in this way. And they exist, but they exist as either concepts in our mind or just they exist because reality exists. That when we look at reality, we go, okay, this is the way that we need to understand it. This is a way to formalize what we're observing into words. And we're going to agree upon these words so that we can have a formalized way of speaking about reality. And we're going to call that logic. So, yeah, I was right. Yeah, the experts agree with me, even though it sounded like they didn't. I turned it around somehow. Yay, I'm right anyways. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. But even those that seem to agree that logic exists independent of minds don't see the need to add God to that equation, because we already have reality as the thing that logic is being based on, or the thing that logic is tied to. And the moment that we understand something new about reality itself, then that's the moment that we're going to have to update logic and probably science and other things to go along with that new information. Whereas if you have something that cannot change or will not change, like say a doctrine or perhaps theology or Matt Slick, then that new information would have to be ignored or discarded or special pled around in order to maintain your case. And no matter whether the laws of logic are, as I think, just concepts in our brain that are conveniences, or they exist in reality, the same 2 points seem to converge on the idea that we don't need another answer to where they come from. Reality is here. We don't need to add something more to explain where the laws of logic come from. Occam's razor shaves off inserting God. A little bit of a problem for Slick, but maybe he'll resolve it somehow. He won't.
Number 6.2. If they are conceptual by nature, then they are not dependent upon the physical universe for their existence.
Okay, so here we are with no universe, and here we have nothing, just blackness, although that would be a thing, but we can't see whatever's here because there's no light, and we're not here either to see, so this is as close as we're going to get. It's just a black screen, which is kind of boring to watch since this is a video on YouTube. But this is as close as we're going to get to conceiving of absolute nothing, which might not be a thing at all. And what are the rules of logic here? there are none. Because there is nothing here. So there's nothing to talk about. There's no anything to base anything on. So in this weird conceptualized nothingness, there's no rules, there's no logic, there's no anything. But there's also nothing to say that something can't suddenly just, boom, pop into existence. Or that the laws of logic exist in spite of there being nothing, because there's no rule to prevent that from being true. But either this exists, or the universe does. Isn't that still a rule of logic? No. Because that idea doesn't exist yet, and the universe doesn't exist yet. But yes, sure, it does, because it can also be true, since there's nothing to prevent it from being true. This is a universe where trivialism is the correct philosophy.
6.2.1. If they are dependent on the physical universe for their existence, then are they said to be properties of the universe the same way that red is a property of an apple?
Red is not a property of an apple. Because there are green apples, you stupid idiot!
Number 6.2.2. If the laws of logic are said to be properties of the universe, then can they be measured the same way that other properties of the universe can be measured? If they cannot, then how are they properties of the physical universe? Number 6.2.3. If they are not properties of the universe and they are of the mind, then it seems proper to say that they are conceptual by nature and that they are dependent on a mind for their existence.
And why can't that mind be the human mind again? Oh, right, because we can't agree on things. So the rules of monopoly are transcendent. Remember that whole little bit I did in the other video? Yeah, just pretend I did all that again.
There are many things we cannot measure, although these are in the areas of emotions and virtues connected with humans most often. But just because something cannot be measured does not mean it is therefore not a property of the universe. Slick needs to explain why it's not necessary that it have a measurement, or why having a measurement makes it part of the universe.
Dear Matt Slick, I am skeptical that your penis exists. Can you let me measure it? If not, then how do I know that it's part of this universe? Obviously, if I'm not allowed to measure it, then it must be conceptual in nature, and thus not be part of this universe. Conclusion, you have no penis. Sincerely, Dan Green. That's my letter. There you go. I'm going to send that letter to Slick later. Also, I said penis on this channel. I'm not sure if that will get me more or less subscribers. I'm just going to say it 5 more times. Penis, 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 Matt Slick. Oh, see what I did there?
Number 6.3. If they are not conceptual by nature, then 6.3.1. What is their nature?
It's the Golden Lobster Award. That's what they are. Here you go, Matt Slick. You get the Golden Lobster Award. Congratulations. It's a complete and utter non-award.
Number 6.3.2. If it is denied that the laws of logic are either conceptual or not conceptual, then this is impossible because conceptual or not conceptual entails all possible options. Either the laws of logic are conceptual by nature or they are not. Number 6.3.3. If they are not conceptual by nature, then what are they? If it is not known what they are, then how could it be said what they are not, since it seems fair to say that knowing what something is not also entails knowing something about what it is?
Alright, so in order to understand this next part, you're going to have to go full screen as you watch this video. So please do that now. Alright, great. You're in full screen mode? Excellent. Okay, now, hold on. Just a moment. Just wait for that stupid press escape to exit full screen thing to go away. It's, still there. I don't know how that works. But that must mean that I understand how it does work, because that's what. If you don't know how something isn't, then that means. Go away. Press escape to exit full screen mode. Nope. Didn't work. Still there. I don't understand anything. I don't know how it works, so that must mean how it works. What? That's what Matt Slick just said. Yeah, I know. Just go with it. Whatever. My word, I'm doing a lot of reductio ad absurdum in this video. Whoa, what happened? It's gone. Everything's gone. Just went blank. It's black screen now. Back to Karen.
6.3.3.1. For example, I know what water is. If someone says that a piece of wood is water by nature, I would say that it is not. If someone says that a frying pan is water by nature, I would say that it is not. If someone were to say to me that a fluorocist, a word I just made up that represents an unknown thing, is by nature hard, how then can I rationally deny such a claim by saying, I don't know what a fluorocist is, but I know it isn't hard? The response would be, since you don't know what it is, how do you know what it is not? Is the response correct or not correct? What? Back to you, Deconverted Man.
It's all Matt Slick's fault. I blame Matt Slick for this. I blame Matt Slick for this. It's all Matt Slick's fault. It's all Matt Slick's fault. Lobsters exist.
Well,
you're essentially constructing a dichotomy on the fly and asserting that this is the case, and saying if you can't come up with some other explanation, I'm sticking with the one I've got, which is an argument from ignorance fallacy.
Hey, so I don't know what atoms are, but I know that they're not the number one, so I must know what they are, because they're not. I know what they are not. Like I don't know, about cars, other than where the gas goes and how to drive. But I know what a car that you don't put a cat inside the engine, so I must therefore know about the car engine, I guess, because I know what not to do. I know not to pull out plugs randomly and pour cold water on the engine, so I must know something about what it is, how to do it, because I don't know what it's not. I know not to do the thing. How does a microwave work? I don't know, but I know not to put metal in it. So that must mean I know how microwaves work. No, I just know that putting metal in it is bad. I don't know the rest of the things, but I know something about it. Okay, but that doesn't mean I know everything about it. I just don't know.